Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel. Peter likes books and I am sitting outside, you can't see it, but I'm sitting outside of Half Price Books and I'm getting ready to go inside and do a little, no! Shut up, Siri!
Canceled.
Canceled! You're canceled! Everybody's canceled. I'm getting ready to go inside and do a little shopping. I have not been to Half Price Books in a very, very long time, so I'm excited about it. I'm like looking at their little knick-knack section. I always like look at that stuff and then I never buy anything. So I might buy, I don't know, a book or two or three. There's some specific things I'm looking for. I want to look at their like vintage book sections for Harlequin novels like that my grandma used to read, number one. Number two is I'm thinking about maybe getting like a book that I've like some kind of like science fiction book, which is like a genre I've never read before, like old school science fiction, you know? And I want to look at the knickknacks, and of course I want to look at the young adult because I love to look at the young adult stuff, and maybe the memoirs and things like that, and the addiction memoirs. I have to tell you, I literally just finished the September True Crime Book Club book, which is The Perfect Father by John Glatt. I'm looking at the thing right here. It said opening credits because it like went back to the beginning. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. You guys, this book like blew me away. I didn't know anything about the Chris and Shanann Watts case. It is so incredibly sad. If you don't know anything about it, I will tell you that the book is so extremely detailed, and I think so thoroughly investigated and like researched. I was super impressed with it from that point of view. I also was impressed with how the writer handled the family of Shanann Watts, especially towards the end of the book. Now, I will say, in comparison to other books, like the Paul Hole's Evil Has a Name and I Am God about the DC shooter, and I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle Mcnamara, like I think those books handle the victim stories much better, which I think is important in true crime. I didn't know anything about this case going into it, and it's so sad to me. Like I literally, just, you know the story towards the end because they tell what happens like as it's going, but if you don't know, like Chris Watts doesn't really admit to it until the end, a lot of it, and hearing in his own voice him talk about what happened and imagining imagining these two little girls just absolutely breaks my heart. And I literally just pulled in here and listened to like the last 2 minutes of it, and I was like crying as I pulled in here because I just can't even imagine, you know, like it's so sad. And I've read so many books now. I've read, okay, let's see, 12 and 8, so 20 true crime books in the last 2 years for the True Crime Book Club, and this is probably one of the top 3 that I will forever remember the story and how the story has really truly had some kind of impact on me. Haven't even collected my thoughts yet about what I think about this book. It's just a lot. And, but I will tell you that it's outside of the story being so sad and tragic, it is a really well done book, and I would highly suggest it to anyone. So the book is called The Perfect Father, and it's by John Glatt. I would probably recommend reading the physical copy versus the narration. The narration is done by a British actor, which is totally fine. But like I listen to my audiobooks like fast, and it's kind of hard to understand sometimes what he's talking about in there. And it's also interesting that they picked a British actor to tell a story about, because usually with Audible, like if it's a story that takes place in like in England, you know, they'll use like English author, or if it's somebody that, if it takes place in like Ireland, they'll use like an Irish like not author, a narrator, so that there's kind of like the same accent, you know. And so it was surprising to me that it was American story that they used a British actor with, which is whatever, that's totally fine, you know. But for me, it was just harder to like it just kind of surprised me, you know what I mean? And so like I would be listening to things. Plus, I will tell you this, I thought it was Chris and Shannon Watts. Like when I would read articles online, I thought it was Chris and Shannon Watts. And so for probably the first hour of this book, I thought he was mispronouncing her name because he would say Shanann Watts, until I finally looked it up and saw that it was Shanann Watts. So it was just like small things like that. Some of the things in the book were interesting to me, that like some of the words that they used in the book, but it's just a really well done book, and so I would highly recommend it to anyone. I think it's probably one of the most important books that we've read in a true crime book club, because it talks about a family annihilator, which I didn't really, like, somebody used that term in our live stream one Sunday, and I didn't know what that term meant until I finished reading this book, and they talk about a family annihilator, you know, somebody that takes out their whole family. And it's, apparently, because they talk about this in the book, it's typically people that you would never expect. And this guy, this Chris Watts guy, was somebody that nobody would have ever expected to do it. And it really makes you start looking at the people around you in a completely different way, you know, and thinking, God, this could be anybody, you know? So anyway, I'm going to go into Half Price Books, and I'm going to look around for a little bit, and then I will be back and I'll show you what I got. So I'll be back in just a few. Okay, I'm back. So I got 7 books, and I spent $33.67. So it's not too bad, do you think? I got some stuff that I'm really, really excited about. So I started over in like I was looking for Harlequin romances. I don't know why it is so hard to find these Harlequin romances that my grandma used to read back in the day. I literally cannot find them anywhere, you guys. I mean, the thrift store that I went to, they had like 5 or 6 or 7, I don't know, 5, I think. It wasn't that many, whatever I said the other day. And then I went in here and I couldn't find any of them that were just like segmented into like Harlequin romances. I think they were like all like, you know, spread out through the Harlequin, or through the romances by the author, and I don't know any of the specific authors. So anyway, I went over there and I looked at some things, and I will show you those in just a second through the vintage books that I found. And then I went to the young adult section, and I have never read, and I started watching this series on Netflix, and then, like, I watched like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and I was like, I kind of want to read these books first before I watch it. And that is a series of unfortunate events. This is the Lemon and Snicket books. So I bought the first one. Here it is, the first one. And I bought the second one. The first one is called The Bad Beginning. And the second one is The Reptile Room. And I'm sure a lot of people have read these. But I wanted kind of like shorter things to read outside. I have the Witch's Sister books by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. So I'm going to read those as well. And I want to start this series and see what I think of it. So I'm excited about that. Those were the first 2 that I got. And then, well, they weren't the first 2 that I got. Those are the first 2 I want to show you. And then I got this book at the library, you guys, like 2 years ago. And it's so funny because this is like laminated, like a library book. So I don't know if this was at the library. It doesn't have like a library thing in here at all. So I don't know, but it's like, it has the lamination thing on it, which is really nice. And that is The Warden's Daughter by Jerry Spinelli. Jerry Spinelli is one of my favorite authors of life. He wrote, well, he's written tons of books, but he wrote like Magic, I think it's Magic McGee or something McGee. But he wrote, oh shoot, what's it called? Stargirl and Love Stargirl, which if you've never read those 2 books, they are absolutely fantastic. They are 2 of the best books, period, in my life that I've ever read. They're middle grade books, but they read like middle grade books that were written for adults. I mean, they're great lessons for middle grade kids, but at the same time, they really are for like adults to read too, because of the lessons inside of them, which are like, just be yourself, be true to who you are, and things like that. So this is the Warden's Daughter, which, let me, I don't think I need my reading glasses. It says, for 12 years, the warden had been enough, but now I was sick and tired of being motherless. I wanted one. And if I couldn't have my first string mother, I'd bring one in off the bench. Cammie, I didn't read this when I got it at the library. I just got it out and took it back. Cammie lives with her father, the warden, in an apartment above the entrance to the county jail. So most of the mother figures she's got her eye on are inmates. There's a flamboyant shoplifter named Boo Boo who dreams of hot fudge sundaes. And it's so, okay, I bit the side of my mouth, you guys, and so I am like, it's hard for me to like talk around it without lisping. And a sullen reformed arsonist named Eloda, who works as their housekeeper. Not ideal candidates, maybe, but Cammie's nickname isn't Cannonball for nothing. She's a girl who decides what she wants and launches herself at it. And this summer, Cannonball's fuse is lit, and she is set to blow. Her best friend is discovering lipstick and Elvis. The guys she plays baseball with think she's too rough. A child killer is brought to her prison, and demonstrators are gathering outside her windows. It's the kind of summer when a girl could really use a mom. In this captivating novel by Jerry Spinelli, Cammie learns that you don't always get what you want, but what you need may be just around the corner. And I'm so excited to read this. I've wanted to read this for a couple years now, whenever it came out. Let's see when it came out. I think I got it when it was like brand new at the library, 2017, so I've had it for like 3 years. So yeah, I'm gonna start that tonight. And then I bought 4 of these vintage books. 3 of them they have posted on like scary stuff because they're already getting ready to show their like Halloween, you know, all that kind of stuff. I got Alfred Hitchcock presents 12 stories for late night. Well, the first one I picked up was Alfred Hitchcock presents 16 skeletons from my closet. It's an invitation you can't turn down when Hitchcock opens the door to terror. And then it says in the back, shake, rattle, and roll those bones is music to Alfred Hitchcock's ears, especially when the sound is accompanied by a healthy scream or two, perhaps a sharp report of a gun, and just maybe a subtle ripping noise of a knife going through cloth to flesh. For nothing sets Hitchcock's feet a tapping and smile a gleaming more than a well-done minuet of murder, concerto of killing, or symphony of slaying. Now he has brought together 16 writers who play the full keyboard of terror in a concert of spellbinding storytelling that hits a new high note in chilling suspense and startling shock. So, like, my grandma, this is more her era of, like, what she read, but this is, like, I mean, the authors on here are not super, super famous, but I love these old vintage books, by the way. I'll tell you when this came out, so you can see the print is, like, super thin. Like, see, sometimes, oh, they smell so good. They smell like old libraries. This is somebody's, like, half of their, like, what do you call it in there? Like, whatever their phone number was. This came out, this was published in 1963. And, like, I kind of have seen these a lot. I think they were, like books that, you know, like, you could, like, a subscription book that you would get in the mail, like, kind of like a, what do you call it? Like a magazine, but, like, a book, you know? Like, what's the one I can't think of? It doesn't matter. Anyway, so I got that. And then I got another one. Alfred Hitchcock presents 12 stories for late night. When Hitchcock turns on the horror, you will never want to turn off the lights. This was $5. The other one I think was $5 as well. Yeah, these are both $5 and they're a collection of short stories. And then I got the Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone, which is very similar because, you know, so Alfred Hitchcock had his own TV show on for a while, which was like little short stories, like short, like, you know, not just movies, but like short things. And then Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone, which is another one of my favorite TV shows from yesteryear. So it says, if you dare, for here in the half world, reality is suspended in what has happened, what will happen, what might happen are mingled, blended, and become more real than the facts of history or science. Your own imagination tells you that the occult and the inexplicable do exist. Logic says that bizarre and fantastic events such as these could not happen, but they might. Such is the gift of Rod Serling, did I say Sterling? Rod Serling, creator of The Twilight Zone, that he has stimulated the imaginations of millions of television viewers who have since become eager participants in his explorations into the unknown. Now The Twilight Zone is explored again in a collection of stories as new and fresh as tomorrow, as ancient as the great myth. The facts of history, of science. Okay, so anyway. So it's basically like short stories, thrilling tales from the supernatural, especially written for young people. Oh, for young people. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, interesting. So I'm excited about that. It didn't say anything about that on the, I didn't even see that on the front there. It's interesting. Okay, and then I bought, is this the last one I bought? I feel like I bought one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, this is the last one. And this is the queerest clue of all solves the puzzle. Mr. and Mrs. North meet murder. Oh my God, where did the light go? Hello, light. Can you come back to the light, Carol Ann? Look at this cover. Is this not so cool? There's my thumbnail. Mr. and Mrs. North meet murder. The room was bare. The flickering light of a cigarette lighter lit the empty apartment that Pam and Jerry North were going to use for their party. The old landlady hadn't cleaned it recently. There was dust all over the place. The light bulbs were missing, and there was a horribly dead body in the bathtub. No clues at all, just a very nude, very dead man in a vacant apartment. My lord. I need a thumbnail. What year did this come out? Okay, look at this print. It's like so fine. What year did this come out? Oh, I love, oh. God, it has that old ancient book smell, which I love. I can't even read because this page is all ripped out. Why? A corpse is discovered in a bare, unrented apartment, and there's not even a stitch of clothing for identification. And when the body finally takes on a name, the puzzle gets even more involved because there's got to be a motive for the killing. Yet, there seems to be absolutely no reason for murder. Mr. and Mrs. North and brisk, capable Lieutenant Wagand of the Homicide Bureau tracked down that reason. This is another clever modern mystery by the popular husband and wife writing team that gave you Murder is Served, The Dishonest Murderer, and Murder Comes First. And, oh, 1940 these came out, you guys. Oh, wait, 1939, 1940, 1941. So this came out in 1941. That's crazy. My dad was 1 year old. So that'd be a fun read. Isn't that crazy? Oh, I'm kind of excited about this now. Okay, so, and this was like $2. That was $2. So if you ever go to Half Price Books, go into the back section there. They have like all of these kind of books. They have all kinds of books back there. They had like those Mad comic books, you know, and they had a bunch of other books. So you might want to check these out. So anyway, that's what I got. I thought it was a pretty good deal, don't you? Here, maybe I'll do this. Then you guys be like, what did he get? That's a better thumbnail. All right, you guys. Get down on it. How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? Get your back up off the wall. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna go read now. So anyway, I love you guys and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.